right, I'm here with Donny. Now we are standing outside of Grampy's house. That's now Donny's house and his son Paul here in Big Flats. We just saw a train. That was just the engine, wasn't it? You probably heard the train go by on the tracks. I'll show you that towards the end. But Donny, tell us about some things around the house that others might remember and enjoy seeing and reminiscing about.
Well, you can still see in the grass here sticking up, there's a cement foundation that was a little building that we always called the tobacco shed, and I'm sure later it migrated into a tool shed, lawnmowers and such. That foundation is still right here today.
Let's take a look real quick over there. I think we can get that in the picture. So, there it is. I see the foundation. So, and then if you look back over behind you, behind that shed in that general area, I believe, isn't that where the garden used to be?
Yep.
And so, can you tell us a little bit about the garden?
Yeah, Grandpa always come out and work the garden. Sometimes, I'm sure he had help, but he loved putting the garden in, and it always grew really well. He attended to it a lot, and we used to have to come keep the woodchucks out of it sometimes.
Awesome. And you guys that's where you could use the guns for that? Or?
Oh yeah, back then it was all field behind here, and we could pick the woodchucks off.
I remember you guys being quite the marksmen, you and your brothers.
Yeah.
Did any of your sisters shoot, or was it just?
Oh, they all shoot. Yeah.
Everybody did. That's cool. And the Stonier house was off on the other side, of that garage that's over your your left shoulder.
Yeah.
So I'll give everybody a view of that before we're done here. But let's go and see what else we got here to look at, to talk about. Now, wasn't there a tree? Before we do that, I'm just thinking, I see that your grandkids have a really cool little spot to play. Is that right?
In a sandbox, yeah.
And that's Paul's kids?
Yep.
That's awesome. And now Paul, here, let me get you in the picture. So Paul, is that in, I just have to ask, is that in honor of your Uncle Paul?
Partially, but my wife's uncle is also Paul.
Okay.
His middle name is Edward, and her dad's name is Edward.
Oh, that's interesting.
So.
And that's my dad's, Glenn Edward.
It is.
Yeah,
I didn't know that, but
yeah,
it's good it worked out.
Yeah, that's interesting. So anyway, so Paul has some kids, and they're still young. 3 daughters and a son. Is that right?
Yep.
And they're living here, and the son's the youngest. And then there's the house. And tell us about the color of the house, if you don't mind.
Yep. The house is kind of an olive green. It was always yellow, like as shown in the bottom on the screen porch there. So I got a lot of complaints from my nieces and stuff that were grandchildren, and they objected to me changing the color, but everybody seems to accept it now. And
well, while we're on the subject of objections, I seem to remember there being a tree where that bush is.
That was where the big tree was, where everybody remembers swinging and climbing.
Yeah.
But
what happened to that tree?
We ended up having to cut it down because it was in range of the house, and there was a hurricane coming from the southeast, which would blow the tree right on the house. So
it's a safety issue.
Yeah. We ended up taking it down before the hurricane got here.
So, and I understand that there's some in order to honor people's memories, that you've made some things out of that tree for people.
Yeah. I've sawed some of it up into lumber and stuff, and it's dried, and I make pens and such things out of wood for turn them on the lathe and stuff and make them into pens. And
so you've honored the memory of Grampy and all the brothers and sisters that were my dad's siblings that lived here on the property that you still live on.
I gave them to my nieces and nephews and stuff, but I should get the addresses, and I'll make everybody a pen and send it to them.
Well, that's very generous. And if anybody that's watching this would like to talk to Donny, I can help you get in touch with him if you need help. Just let me know. So that's great. And let's see if there's anything else around the property that we might all enjoy seeing. I understand there used to be a dairy farm here.
Yeah, that's what I understand. It was gone long before my time, but
And I never heard about that for some reason, but apparently the brothers and sisters all worked to keep that dairy going.
yeah,
That's what Cindy was saying,
yeah,
something about that.
that's my understanding.
That's pretty exciting to know that. Can you show us where the silos were?
Sure.
Okay. So the property, some of the property where the gardening was, and other, I understand there were maybe over 100 acres of land in total. And originally, we don't know the exact number. Cindy was talking about it, but there's some other property now adjacent. So it's not all still the family property, but it looks nice. It's really pretty. I'll do a drone flight to show that. Hopefully I'll be able to do that before we leave, before we're done. All right. So let's just look. I'm just going to catch it like this. Can you just map? I think I see a partial circle there.
Here's you can still see the concrete footing in the ground. That was the silo. You see the ring all the way around here. This one shows better. There's another one over here. It's not quite as visible.
Oh yeah, I can see a little bit of on the bottom left-hand corner, a little bit of a part of a circle. Yeah. So they had those were grain silos, right?
I would guess they're silos of some sort.
Okay.
They're definitely silos.
Yeah, I don't even know what they use silos for, but I'm guessing it's for grain or feed. Yeah, feed, things like that. So I was just reviewing some of the video footage I got of the old homestead at the property on Alcott Road, I guess, where my dad and Uncle Paul and all their brothers and sisters grew up, spent most of their childhood. Donny Stonier is living there now in the upstairs where Aunt Eloise used to live, and that was Edith's sister, and now Donnie's living there. I guess Donnie moved in there sometime after, Grampy was still living downstairs. And I don't know the dates exactly, but there were apparently several times when our dad, Glenn, went and did some work on the property and helped out and was available. I guess he came and visited his sister Esther. One of the reasons why I wanted to go back and see the old farm property actually was a dairy farm at one time, and I think I showed that in the video clip, which was news to me. But I think Dad must have been about 10 years old, no older than that when they moved, because it was in the 30s that they lost, the early 30s that they lost the farm down in Covington, as I understand it, and bought the dairy farm up on in Big Flats. So then he would have spent most of his youth, or a lot of his youth and early adulthood, coming and going from the house at Alcott, which is the one that most of us, I believe, remember. So I thought it would be great to go back and see that, but I also was motivated because of my interactions at the graveside services with Donnie, and I saw how much passion he felt towards my dad, in sadness in my dad's loss, and that really struck me, and I wanted to understand that better, and get a better sense of my own dad's history and some of the things that I might not see easily myself, but that others might be able to see more easily from a different perspective. So it was really great getting to spend time with Donnie. We spent several hours one day, and then I came back another day, and we visited some more during the time that that Ann and I were in New York State. I wanted to do a drone flight, but unfortunately there's an airport nearby, and it's restricted airspace now. So anyway, I would have liked to have done some more recording of Donnie himself, talking about our dad, his uncle Glenn. But he really did get emotional several times, and he was more comfortable just having me relay some of the story. So I'm just going to go briefly through it. He mentioned that during the time that he was building the garage that you saw in the video clip, there was a garage that he had added on. Donnie did most of that work himself, including some of the electrical hookup. That my dad came into town and was inspecting, looking at some of the stuff he did, and was admiring it, and was praising Donnie on how good a job he was doing and how much he admired his craftsmanship. And Donnie really took that to heart in a good way, and I think after his own father passing at a fairly young age, having an uncle there who was supportive, another uncle, he had an uncle who also taught him a lot of his carpentry skills as a young adult, but that my dad was there and also was a pretty skilled carpenter and very supportive of Donnie, and that really meant a lot to him. And he just really enjoyed the time that they spent together. One of the things that specifically Donnie mentioned was that during the time that he was re-roofing Grampy's room in the front of the old house, the slanted roof, that he got a call from his brother Louis, who was somewhere for up north, a few hours drive. I can't remember whether it was in New York State or a different state, but anyway, he needed some help working on some stuff there and needed some carpentry assistance. So Donnie really wanted to go and help him, but he was in the middle of doing that roof, and that his brother Lynn, his older brother, our cousin Lynn, and my dad decided that they volunteered to finish that roof for him. And he went through it in great detail and explained to me what some of the stuff that my dad and his brother Lynn did, and how helpful and how caring and supportive Dad was to him personally, and to helping him to be able to work together, and what a strong sense of family there was, and how much that meant to him. And that was very touching to me as well, and it helped me to see my dad in a whole new way that I never got to see, at least in that way exactly. In other ways, for sure, my dad was great, but that's for another time. And then he also talked about when his mother was ill, and my dad came. In fact, she was so ill that she finally passed, and Esther. And when she during the time she was passing, he shared with me that it was my dad who was there at the bedside with his sister and Esther when she passed. I believe that it may have just been him that was there, as Donnie told it, which that really was helpful to me to understand why Donnie felt so strongly and had such a powerful emotional attachment to my dad. And then also he shared that in fact my dad was there when his father, Grampy, passed, and was at his bedside and was there, possibly also alone at the time of his passing, with Grampy. And please correct me if anybody watching this has any better details or something they'd like to add. Please use the comments and give some additional information that would help enrich this story for all of us. So those are some of the things that Donnie shared with me. He also showed me some of his handiwork. I was very impressed by his garage work and some of the things that he did there. He's doing a great job keeping the house up, and it was a real pleasure getting to see him and spend some time there. I wish I could have had more time. Donnie and I were pretty close growing up. Or at least I remembered him very fondly. I'll put it that way. And that every time that we went to visit, which was 3 or 4 times that I recall that were significant during my early teens and thereabouts, Donnie was a great companion, and we had some fun adventures together. So it was nice to see him. Also, Danny and I had some fun adventures, so it was nice seeing him at the graveside services as well. I hope that I get a chance to maybe reconnect with Danny at some point in the near future. So I think that's all I have to share right now on that. I just want to get this footage all pulled together so that it's interesting for other people to see as well. Thank you.